Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of In the Corner. I'm Cash. Today we've got episode 82, and it is also fight day for Darren Till, Luke Rockhold, on top of Misfits 22, Tony Ferguson, Saul Papi. It's a stacked card with lots of crazy stuff. That's pretty much the only thing we have going on this weekend. There is a BKFC card in Budva, Montenegro. I don't really know anybody on that card, so I'm not really going to talk about it much. But this Misfits card, we're going to do a deep dive on. We've got a lot of news to talk about. We've had some big fights announced in the last few days. We're going to kick it off, actually, with the UFC announcements. Dana White on Thursday night announced the main event of UFC 322, and it's going to be Jack Della Maddalena defending his welterweight championship against former lightweight champion Islam Makhachev at MSG on November 15th. We knew this was going to happen, but to have it announced feels good. I'm really, really excited for this. I feel like a lot of people are honestly more intrigued with the fight than I am. I think JDM is good, but I think that Islam beats him. I'm very confident Islam beats him. Yeah, JDM has been on like a very big winning streak in the UFC, but if you look at the guys he's beaten, there's not. I mean, besides Bilal, he hadn't fought before Bilal in over a year, and that was against Gilbert Burns, and Gilbert Burns has kind of been on like a downward trend, since around that time. And before that, I think it was like Kevin Holland. So he hasn't been fighting a lot of the top contenders we've had. He's never fought a Shavkat or a Sean Brady or an Ian Gary or a Leon Edwards or a Carlos Prates. Like there's so many guys in that division. It's so loaded. And if you're gonna throw him in with Islam Makhachev, dude, good luck. Like I don't know, man. I definitely see Islam winning this fight. He's looking big. I think he's gonna fit into 170 very nicely. But hey, it's a big fight. It's very important for the future of the UFC. I can't wait for it. Co-main event. Honestly, I may be more excited for it because this is the best fight in women's MMA because it's pound for pound one versus pound for pound two. Valentina Shevchenko is going to defend her her flyweight championship against former strawweight champion, or actually current strawweight champion, Zhang Weili. Zhang Weili has completely dominated that weight class. There's nothing left for her to do. Shevchenko, also not a lot for her to do, so they're just going to match him up. Zhang Weili is moving up. She's going to challenge her for that crown. That is a phenomenal fight. Like, that is so, so good. I don't know who wins it. That's a true 50-50. Pound for pound one and pound for pound two. Obviously, Zhang Weili, I think, is pound for pound number one. Granted, she's moving up 10 pounds. And Shevchenko is not a small 125er. So I think she's going to have a decent size advantage. But man, that is a very, very intriguing fight, and I'm really happy that they're getting that one together. Especially they're putting it on this card. I mean, that not a lot of women's fights can headline pay-per-views. That one could, I feel, and to get it on the same card as this Islam fight is really, really awesome. Also on that card, you're gonna get Leon Edwards, Carlos Prates. This is a fight that people have been talking about. Oh, they should do this, and they just did it. And it's an interesting one because Leon, I mean, he was the guy. He was like close to the top of the pound for pound list. And then he had the loss to Bilal Muhammad, and then he really looked bad against Sean Brady. So it is kind of this thing like, okay, has Father Time kind of caught up with him? Like, is he kind of, like did he hit his peak? And they're throwing him in there with a very, very tough prospect, a very exciting guy in Carlos Prates. And I think that a lot of people are kind of overlooking Leon Edwards. I'm somebody who will say, yeah, I probably would favor Carlos going into this fight, but Leon Edwards is still a very, very skilled fighter, and he's far more experienced at the higher level than at the highest level than Carlos Prates is. The highest level fight Prates has had is against Ian Gary, and he lost. Edwards has wins over Usman, Covington. I mean, like he's at the top. So we'll see. But I really like that fight. They also announced for UFC 321, October 25th in Abu Dhabi, new co-main event. Obviously, Zhang Weili's moving up to flyweight, so she's vacating that belt. They've already got a new belt, a new vacant title fight in place. Verna Jandiroba versus Mackenzie Dern. Let's be honest, in terms of exciting, like out of all the UFC title fights, I really have very low interest in this fight, if I'm just being honest. but they need a new champion. It's strawweight. There's not a whole lot going on. Jandaroba is number one contender. I think that she probably beats Mackenzie Dern. She is the favorite, so we'll see. But yeah, I mean, it's whatever. But that's cool to add on to the Abu Dhabi card because that card is looking stacked. Also on that card, they announced was Umar Nurmagomedov versus Mario Batista. Which is a great fight because Umar, I mean, dude, he's still like number two, I think, in the rankings. He still had a really, really good showing against Marab. He's definitely right, really close to another title shot, but you need to keep him active. You need to give him another fight. So, hey, let's throw him in with a guy who's had some great wins recently and kind of deserves a big fight, and that's Mario Batista. So this is a big test for him. But winner of this is in very good standing to fight for that belt. Obviously, I think that after October 4th, when Marab defends against Corey Sandhagen, winner of that will probably face Piotr Yan, because he's definitely next in line. But then I think that honestly, Umar and Mario Batista could decide the next title challenger beyond that. But yeah, that's our UFC news. Really, really great fights in the pipeline, and I'm excited. Also, they announced Sebastian Fundora versus Keith Thurman is official for October 25th in Las Vegas. WBC Super Welterweight title on the line. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I don't like this fight at all. I think Fundora takes care of Thurman inside the distance. I don't think that this is a competitive fight. I think that Fundora is uh, at the top of what is maybe the best weight class in the sport. And Keith Thurman, I don't know if I'd put him in the top 15 of that division, maybe top 15, but certainly not top 10. And it's just kind of disappointing because you have 154, which is such a loaded division. And you look at the names and the undefeated talent and who's there and how many great fighters you have and how many exciting fights can be made, and they're just not happening. You're getting okay fights, but you're not getting the fights. You're getting Virgil Ortiz versus Erickson Lubin and Background Mertillet versus Josh Kelly and Budzenis versus Usman Lima, and then Sebastian Fundora versus Keith Thurman. You know what I mean? So it's just not what you kind of want to see for a world title fight, especially with Fundora already fighting Chordale Booker this year, which was a really really poor defense. And then the Tim Tszyu fight, is okay because that was a good defense. But even looking back on that, Tim Tszyu probably shouldn't have gotten that fight. He probably should have waited a little bit more to build himself back up because he clearly was just not fully returned to the mind game, to the mental game. But yeah, very very interesting card. Excuse me. Co-main event. You have got Oshaki Foster defending his WBC Super Featherweight title against current WBC Featherweight champion Stephen Fulton. This is a fight we've heard talked about since, like, I want to say March or April time. They've been talking about this forever. And it's finally been agreed on and been announced. That's your co-main event. I like the fight a lot. I think it's really interesting because I do think Stephen Fulton is a better fighter than Oshaki Foster. And, him moving up, it's interesting because if you were to just do, like, the best of each other, I would say, oh, Fulton probably wins that. But Stephen Fulton is really, really good. He's had some shaky performances. Obviously, the loss to Inoue, but it's Inoue. But the fight after that, he didn't look great in. He looked really good against Figueroa, though. So I think that him moving up to 130 could be a step too far. He's not the biggest guy. He's very small. He doesn't have a big frame. And Oshaki Foster is a really big 130 pounder. He really should be fighting at 135. Heck, maybe even 140. Oshaki Foster taking on a very undersized Stephen Fulton. So it's going to be a big, big weight disparity in the ring, and I'm just curious who that'll help. If that will help Oshaki Foster. He is so long and rangy. But then again, Stephen Fulton, he kind of fights the same way. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I would, as of right now, I'd start to favor Stephen Fulton. But I mean, again, it's just the size difference that could very well work in the favor of the champ in that fight, and that is Shaki Foster. Also on that card, they announced Jesus Ramos Jr. versus Shane Mosley Jr. Terrific fight. Ramos moving up to 160, gonna get a title shot much more easily. Mosley's been waiting on his title shot for a while. He beat Daniel Jacobs last summer and hasn't done anything since then. This is for the WBC Interim Middleweight Championship. So whoever wins this is going to be mandatory for one Carlos Adames, which, I mean, yeah, middleweight's actually starting to get interesting with this fight. I really, really like this fight. So I'm very much down for Ramos. I think that he is really, really good. But Mosley is a solid fighter as well. And then lastly, Tony Harrison versus Isaac Lucero opens up the card. Interesting fight. Tony Harrison just came back under Salida Promotions. Got him fight on a PBC pay-per-view against an undefeated fighter in Isaac Lucero, who fought back in May on the Caleb Plant Jermell Charlo doubleheader. Um, as for this fight, I'm okay with it. It's interesting. I'm like, huh, you know. I do think right now I'd probably favor Lucero, but who knows? This does kind of feel like it's a old guard versus new guard kind of fight. But hey, I mean, this Isaac Lucero kid, they're stepping him up to former world champion. So hey, let's see what happens. I do just want to say, update on the Raja Jackson situation. I haven't really talked about it because I feel like it's not a actual sports conversation. But I did hear that the wrestler that he had fought, or beat the crap out of unjustly, is okay. He is conscious and recovering, and that's very, very good and relieving to hear. As for what I think on that situation, I think Roger Jackson should have to face charges. I think that he assaulted him and just went too far. It was unbelievable. It's honestly just like kind of hard to watch because it's like, and honestly, I think that somebody from the organization should get in trouble for letting that happen because he was on top of him for about 15 seconds with nobody stopping him. Obviously, I think it's part of the bit, but you know this kid is not a professional wrestler. He doesn't know the game, and he's actually punching the unconscious man in the face right now, beating his head in. So it's just ridiculous. And I even saw Rampage, press some guy who walked up and asked him like, "Hey, what's going on with that?" And he was like, "Dude, don't disrespect me." And the guy was like, "Okay, I'm sorry. I was just, asking." And he's like, "No, no, no, I'm not gonna shake her hand." I'm like, "Dude, calm down." Rampage Jackson, I get he's a character, but he's kind of a dick. And I mean, that guy was just asking like, hey, he was being very respectful, and I don't know. I think that this is one of those things where like the live streaming. We've seen it before with all these other guys, and uh, it's just really really bad for every single live streamer gets into some kind of big issue because they just get this dopamine rush and this ego, and they do stuff like this. So I don't know, but hopefully the wrestler pulls through and everything's okay, and Raja Jackson has to face some consequences. But let's talk about Misfits 22. Man, oh man, we got a great card today. Darren Till, Luke Rockhold in the main event. Let's talk about it. I think Darren Till wins. I'm very disappointed this is only a 6 rounder. I feel like it could have been 8. Apparently Luke Rockhold did not want 8. At least that's what Darren Till is saying. The only thing though, I mean, Luke Rockhold is still a really good fighter. We just haven't seen him in the boxing ring yet. And Darren Till has looked really good in his last 2 fights. However, Rockhold is in Darren Till's head, like bad. Like Darren Till hates him. He was erratic at the weigh-in yesterday, was just going crazy, trying to go for Rockhold's neck. Like he is totally in his head, and I think the game plan could help him. So I'm not going to count Rockhold at all. This is like a 65-35 fight for me. I have to go with Darren Till, but I can't wait to see. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I do think it probably goes the distance, but we'll see. I'm really excited. Co-main event, which in my opinion, the people's main event. Tony Ferguson makes his boxing debut against one Super Saul Papi. I mean, just this is the fight everyone's just going like not even in like a Misfits is dumb kind of way, but like Tony, dude, like this is especially because Tony Ferguson is probably gonna lose this fight. He just is. He's on an 8 fight losing streak in MMA, and this is different. He's coming in against a young, strong fighter in boxing. He's never boxed before. We've seen how these boxer versus MMA fights have gone, even when it's even when they're taking on a YouTuber. It usually goes the way of the guy who's been training and is shown to be pretty good. Like Saul probably could be a legitimate um prospect, I think. Like, he could actually fight some low level pro fighters. He could. He's probably the best in Misfits right now. So yeah, I mean, I'm very much excited for this fight. I think it's gonna be great. It's only 5 rounds again. I wish this one could have been like 8, but um, is there a chance Tony Ferguson can show something? Sure. I just don't think that's gonna happen, man. I'm sorry. I really think Saul Poppy's gonna look very good in there. I think he could stop him, but I won't say that. We'll see, dude. But it could be bad, and I do think Saul Poppy wins this one. Also on this card, you have got Dylan Dennis versus Warren Spencer in what is the first ever Misfits MMA fight. It's going to be inside of the boxing ring, which is really, really intriguing. But anyways, yeah, this is gonna be interesting. I think that Dylan Dennis wins this fight. Like, let's just be honest. The thing about this Misfits card, lots of really interesting fights, but I feel like almost all of them have a very clear favorite. And it's just like when you think about it, like, yeah, that guy probably wins. Dylan Dennis is a really, really high level grappler and really, really good wrestler. He just is. Warren Spencer's never competed in MMA. He's had some boxing experience, some kickboxing experience, and he's a pretty fun boxer. He's pretty good, but you throw him in with Dylan Dennis, I don't know. And he was even trying to convince Dylan Dennis to not wrestle. And I'm like, dude, that's literally Dylan Dennis's whole thing. Like, he can't strike. So like, if you make it MMA and he's allowed to wrestle, he's gonna wrestle. And Warren Spencer's even said some stuff like, yeah, if he tries to choke me out, I'm just gonna tap. Like, if he gets me to the ground, I'm just gonna submit. And I'm like, dude, don't do that. So I think Dylan Dennis wins this fight probably by submission. I think he's gonna get Warren Spencer down very quickly and submit him. This could be like a Hamzat situation. Not even because I think Dylan Dennis is that good. I just don't think that Warren Spencer's experienced at all in MMA, and Dylan Dennis is a really good wrestler. But it's gonna be interesting to see that inside of the ring. This is the fight that I'm maybe most interested on the card. Ty Mitchell steps up to 10 rounds to take on Sean Hemphill, who just upset Mark Jeffers. So Ty Mitchell's this guy, right, who they said, oh, yeah, no, yeah, he's a Misfits pro fighter. Like, he's an actual pro, and he'll get his pro record. At the start of the year, he was like 2-2. Um, and then he's had two fights on Misfits, first of which was against like a journeyman. Second one, he fought Idris Virgo, who is another undefeated fighter, who was a decent fighter, but he's been fighting on Misfits and hasn't even been looking that great. Like, he's not, and again, he was a pro, but he's not a how do you say it? It's not like Idris Virgo is going to be a world champion ever. You know, he was never that good. So Ty Mitchell beat him, looked sensational. That was a really, really great win for him. But now they're like, okay, we're gonna like they want to get Ty Mitchell a world title shot, and he's talking about, yeah, I think I'm gonna get a world title shot into next year. That is never gonna happen. You're not gonna get a world title shot, especially in a loaded division like 168 or 175. This one is at 168 pounds. You're not gonna get a fight with Canelo. You're not gonna get a fight with Dimitri Bivol. Like, let's just stop. But hey, all power to you. If you're gonna go in and say, yeah, give me a good guy, and they're giving him this fight, who just upset a decent contender in the UK at super middleweight, Sean Hemphill is a very tough fight. He's actually a good favorite, and I actually am favoring Sean Hemphill to win this fight. If Tom Mitchell beats him, I'm going to be very, very impressed and be like, okay, wow, like, Missis has got a legitimate contender here, because Sean Hemphill is ranked with the IBF. I think he's almost ranked with the WBA. If Ty Mitchell beats him, that's pretty big. That's a really, really good guy they've got there. And look, Ty Mitchell at 168 is going to be a unit. He's really, really big. He's like 6'4" or something like that, maybe even taller. I don't know. So him at 168, he's going to have a huge size advantage over Hemphill. So I'm excited for it, but I am favoring Sean Hemphill to win that fight. He's the B side, but he's quite a sizable favorite just because you just have to get behind him. Chase Demore defends his heavyweight title against Nathan Marcon. This Marcon guy is pretty funny, I won't lie. I think Chase Demore beats him. I think he probably stops him. Chase Demore has been on a really good run recently where he started off in boxing terribly, and since then he's improved a lot, and you have to respect it. But yeah, I mean, him stepping into this fight, it's I mean, it was an interesting fight week where Marcon threw an egg at him at their face to face, and then Chase Demore said, "I'm not fighting," and apparently pulled out and was like at the airport. Who was posting, and then he comes back at the weigh-in to surprise of no one. He didn't actually pull out of the fight. He wasn't even at the press conference, but he was just trying to make everyone think he pulled out, and then have this big entrance. So yeah, I knew he was always gonna fight, but he's a showman. He's a really funny guy, and yeah, that was pretty good. What else? Carla Jade versus Darren Harris, another Misfits title fight. Carla Jade's okay. Joey Essex taking on Demero. Joey Essex, like, I think he's from Love Island. Um, is a big debut. People are excited for it. I don't really care too much. If he's good, sure. I know he's in talks to fight Deji last year, so if he comes back and if he comes into this, gets a good win, I think Numero could be a well matched opponent for him. He could fight somebody else like that in Misfits, fight a Deji, fight a Danny Aaron's. But my interest is not insanely high. Amadeus Ferrari versus Raheem Pardesi has been a tremendous build up Ferrari is hilarious. He fought Saul Papi last year. I think he probably wins this fight, but who knows? He's just absolutely wild. He's a complete madman, and he's really, really funny. But the guy he's fighting, they brought like, or Ferrari brought like a dwarf to the weigh-in, and the dwarf was like trying to fight, and it was just the funniest thing. So I'm really excited for that fight, just because it's gonna be off the walls crazy. You've also got Demi Sims, who's the daughter of Tony Sims, making her boxing debut. She could do something on Misfits. Who knows how good she looks? She's fighting Nadeshi Hopkins. Jahan Ingram comes back and he's fighting Banty Singh in a 6 rounder. And then in an 8 rounder, you've got Amir Anderson fighting Vitor Sakara, who's 8-1 over 8 rounds. So, Misfits prospects, their legitimate pro prospects, are both on this card. Amir Anderson, I think, he's really, really good. And it's interesting to me they're already stepping him up to 8 rounds and giving him a decent opponent. I think they could be trying to fast track him a little bit. And I would love to see that, because Amir Anderson, I really do get behind and think that this guy could be something. And he could be a world champion one day. I know it's early, but he's really good. And like I said, we got BKFC and Budva. I think it's Bako Savage versus Ot. Again, I really don't know anything, so I'm not going to comment on that card. I'm going to watch it probably, and we'll see what happens in there. I'm sure it'll be a fun night. But yeah, I just don't know anything about the fighters. There is a rumor that Andrew Tate, or Helwani actually reported this, saying that Andrew Tate is going to be fighting on Misfits. He's in talks with them for a big fight, and we don't know who this could be against. That he would make his debut later this year, maybe at like heavyweight. This is from Ariel Helwani. Listen, if this is true, which I think it could be, I think it'll be announced today at the fight. I'm not going to give my hopes up on it, but I am ready to see that fight announced. I think it could be him and KSI. If the weight works out, but Tate's so much bigger than him, part of me is like, maybe it's not KSI. But I do think that Andrew Tate coming to Misfits is a good call. I think he fits in there well. I know he's had some issues with his eye, so I don't know if he's actually cleared to fight, but it'd be really, really interesting if they sign him down, because that would be a huge signing, and I'd be blown away by that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Big fight being rumored in Joseph Parker, Fabio Wardley. So there's word that they are putting this fight together for October 25th at the O2 Arena. Just the other day, Spencer Brown said, yeah, Parker's likely to defend the interim title before Christmas. Could be Daniel Dubois, could be Derek Chisora, could be Fabio Wardley. Then we hear the other day, Javier Herrera versus Ricardo Nunes is apparently a done deal for a WBC lightweight title eliminator on October 25th at the O2, and I was like, what's the main event there? And by the way, that's an okay fight. Herrera jumping up to world title level is interesting already, but he is really good. He beats Nunes, though. And then hearing it's going to be Parker Wardley is at least what they're working on. Like, oh, that's an interesting fight. That's a really, really good fight for Queensberry to make. I think Parker wins that fight. And that's a good one where you're not throwing Parker in with somebody like Caballero, where he really could lose that fight. Like, he could lose against Wardley, but you're going to have to favor Parker by a good stretch here. I mean, you look at Wardley, he was getting beaten by Justice Hooney. Like, he had barely won a round until he, of course, knocked him out in the 10th round. So he does have that equalizer in the power, but Justice Hooney's shown to have a chin. Joseph Parker does, or Justice Hooney is shown to have some chin issues, I should say. Joseph Parker is pretty tough, and he's a lot better than Justice Hooney, in my opinion, and he's a lot more experienced. And I think Joseph Parker wins that fight. I think it's bad matchmaking for Fabio Wardley, but if they make it, I mean, like, yeah, dude, this is what we need to do. We need to match up the best of the best, top 10 heavyweight fight, legitimately. So I would be down to see that. And October 25th looks like it's going to be a phenomenal day for combat sports. You've already got UFC 321 and Fundora Thurman. Throw on Parker Wardley. Let's do it, dude. Let's do it. Lamont Roach suing Tank Davis. So Tank tweeted about, saying like, oh, something alluding to Roach suing him for not taking the fight. There hasn't been any other news on that. It could be just Tank talking, but, if Tank did somehow breach a contract, sure, but I don't think there actually was a breach of contract. So, yeah, I think it's fine. There is rumors that Roach could be fighting Gabriel Flores Jr. next. I don't like that fight a lot. I think he beats Flores. I don't think Flores is bad or anything, but this definitely be a comeback fight. Shakur did say he's going to have an in-between fight before he jumps back into a fight with like Shakur or somebody like that. But it's whatever. We're hearing that this will be, if finalized, it would be the co-main event on a big PBC card later this year. maybe they have something cooking for November, December. But I don't know. I do want to see Roach back in the ring though. But I'd like to see him fight. Just go straight in with like Shakur or someone like that. Jermell Charlo went on a Twitter spree or Instagram spree, calling out a ton of fighters, and I actually really like this. It was like his or actually I should say Jermell Charlo. I wrote down the wrong one, but it was the Lion, which is obviously his kind of moniker, with shark in his mouth. Obviously Spence, then Boots, then a giraffe, Fundora. Uh, and you had Ortiz, you had Terrence Crawford. So you had all their kind of like different mascots, different nicknames, getting beaten up by a lion, getting eaten by a lion. So I thought it was a really creative way with like AI to kind of call those names out. And he said, like I'm back, I'm in training, and I've got a fight coming soon. I'm ready. Knowing this guy, I just worry that he's gonna go in with an easy fight, and that'll be that. I really hope that he actually signs up for a big fight and just gets straight in with one of these guys, because even though he's been out of the ring for 2 years and he probably does need a warm up, I get so tired of the Charlos doing their warm ups, because you had Jermall Charlo had fought Jose Benavidez 2 years ago, and then he takes a year and a half out of the ring. He fights Thomas Lamana, so it's just kind of like, dude, if you just hop in with a tough guy, you're not gonna have to do this, because he fought Thomas Lamana. I don't think he's gonna fight again this year, probably. And then he's gonna have to come back and take another easy fight, and it's just so like monotonous. Like, let's just get to it. Let's just get a big fight. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Uh, the Ring Magazine has announced the Underdog, and this is going to be their fight night series, their fight week, their first ever fight, like legitimate big fight. They've had the Turkeys done the fight week, the open workout fights before. This is something different. This is going to be its own event at the Fontainebleau in Las Vegas. It's going to be headlined by Anthony Olasquaga, defending his world title against Juan Carlos Camacho Jr. Really good fight there. I do think Olasquaga probably takes that, but it's a really tough fight. Olasquaga had a really tough night out last time, and Camacho is definitely coming for that belt. So I like that fight a lot, especially to headline this. It's for the WBO flyweight world title. Undercard, you've got Justin Valoria taking on Joshafat Ortiz. Jalil Hackett is back. He's fighting Elijah Vines. Emiliano Alvarado versus Juan Garcia, and Jamar Talley versus Isaiah Thompson. So, they got some really top prospects on this card, and they're taking on tough tests. Like, all these guys have, like, maybe one or two losses, some of them undefeated, their opponents. This fight's going to be on DAZN, so good for DAZN getting part of that Canelo Crawford fight week buzz. But yeah, this is a really cool series. It sounds like they're going to be doing this not even just on fight week. Maybe it's just 4 fight weeks, but maybe also in general. Like, they'll just have an event like randomly in October, and it'll just be, because it sounds like it'll be a Las Vegas based thing where they're just going to have the underdog shows, and it's going to be a good fight with a lot of up and coming prospects on the undercard. And I'm like, dude, I'm totally down for that. So I'm really excited for this. I think it's going to be a great fight week little addition. So yeah, let's do it. It should be fun on September 11th in Vegas. There's talks for Raymond Murataya versus Floyd Schofield for a November fight on DAZN. Obviously, I've been saying that, we need to see Floyd Schofield fight Lucas Body. No, take this fight. If you're going to get a world title, and Murataya is kind of ducking Cruz, but that fight hasn't been ordered yet, technically, although he should just go ahead and get it done. He's going to be fighting Floyd Schofield, it sounds like, and that's a really good fight. If they can get that one done, I like it. That's a very intriguing world title fight for me. Obviously, this would be for Murataya's IBF lightweight belt. Two up-and-coming, young, rising stars in that division fighting for a world title is exactly what we kind of want in the sport. And I am very much down for that if they can get them through. And I'm starting to see that Top Rank, and as we go through this, we've got a lot of fights being announced. Top Rank is starting to sell out a lot. Not sell out, that sounds bad, but starting to ship out a lot of their, champions to fight on other shows, and to have a lot of their prospects stay busy on like club circuit stuff. But yeah, I mean, Foster is going to go over and fight on PBC. Now we're hearing that Murataya is going to be coming over to a Golden Boy show, and more stuff we'll get to. But it's good to see they're still going to keep him active. But yeah, I'm excited for this if it happens. I hope it does. Subriel Matias versus Dalton Smith apparently has not yet been finalized, which is really interesting to me because it's already on BoxRec, making it seem like the fight is agreed upon. It's not done yet. Smith said, yeah, like we're still working on it. That is going to be next. We just don't know if it's going to be in November or not. Obviously, if Matias goes for it, but the fight's been ordered. It's a world title fight. It's probably going to happen. I just really hope it happens on November 22nd because that card is looking very, very stacked. And why not make it more stacked? Keyshawn petitions with the WBO to become the number one challenger at 140 pounds over Alfredo Santiago. I'm totally fine with that. If he's going to come back soon, though, if he says he's going to take a year out of the ring, if not, let Santiago be ordered to fight Teofimo Lopez and see if he takes that. If not, yeah, install Keyshawn as the number one challenger and have him fight Teofimo Lopez. I will absolutely take that fight. That's a huge fight, and I would love to see it. Why not? Give me that. So I agree with him for petitioning, but if he's not going to fight for a year, then hold tight. UFC is going to have a numbered event in Salt Lake City in 2026. They posted this because WWE is having two events there next year, and they're going to have not a pay-per-view no longer, but a numbered event, so still a big title fight. They really like coming to Salt Lake City for whatever reason. I guess they do good crowds there, make good gate money, but yeah, they're going to be coming back next year. Samson Boxing. Again, we were just talking about Top Rank. They have outbid Top Rank for the FA Ajagba Frank Sanchez IBF Heavyweight Eliminator. Around $300K was their bid, so it's going to be a 60-40 split in favor of Ajagba. So Ajagba is still getting more money, but it's not going to be on a Top Rank show. It's going to be on a PBC card, which, I mean, hey, I'm totally fine with that. PBC has no heavyweight fights, so yeah, let's throw that on there. That's a really good fight. I would have to favor Ajagba, but Sanchez is still really good, so I'm really intrigued by that matchup. And we'll just have to see which way it goes. But, yeah, it's just interesting that Top Rank is really, they still don't have a deal. It's also interesting how little this purse is for. This is a heavyweight title eliminator, and it's only for $300K for both guys, so wow. Dillian White, I'll be back. So he is not retiring. He obviously doesn't want to go out like that, but if it's for me, dude, I'm like, dude, you got nothing left. Just hang him up. Come on. There's no need to stick around. Let's get out while we still can. So he's probably gonna keep fighting. If he's gonna keep fighting, fight somebody like Derek Chisora. Even that one's dangerous. But fight somebody that's also at the end of their line and is not a Moses Atama. They're saying that Hamza Shiraz versus Callum Simpson could be happening on the undercard of Eubank Ben 2. I don't hate this fight. Again, boxers in a similar situation at Top Rank where they don't have their guys on cards, but so this works with getting them on a Ring Magazine card. As for Shiraz, yeah, it's I mean, the thing is with Hamza Shiraz is that he's waiting to fight Canelo. He thinks he can get the shot at Canelo next, but he's not going to make any decisions until after that fight. He thinks he can get that fight in February. But if he wants to stay active, sure, fight somebody like Callum Simpson, who is still a really good fighter and will still give him a challenge, but he's going to win that fight, let's be honest. So I don't hate it, but I just have some feelings about it where I'm like, this is a step down in competition for Shiraz. When he's looking at all these other world title contenders, but, if you want to make a big fight in the UK and kind of build your profile there more on a big stage and get a fight that you're likely to win before you jump in with Canelo, sure. As for Callum Simpson, sure, you take this fight. Yeah, you'll be the underdog, but you've got a shot. Turkey saying that he wants to make Jai Opetaia versus Derek Chisora. Obviously, Jai Opetaia afterwards said he does not plan on moving to heavyweight and he wants to become undisputed at cruiserweight. But Turkey saying I think he's just tired of all this stuff at cruiserweight with not being able to get the unifications done. And he's like, oh yeah, let's just have him go up to heavyweight and fight Chisora. I don't hate that idea. I think Opetaia could maybe go to heavyweight, and him starting with Chisora, he could beat Chisora maybe, but it's just not yet time. I think that Opetaia should go for undisputed still. Mary Spencer versus Michaela Mayer has been announced for October 30th for the WBA Super Welterweight Championship. This fight came out of nowhere, and I'm really excited for it. Obviously, Mayer, again, with Top Rank, doesn't have anywhere to fight, so they're putting her onto either the Tiger card. Either the Tiger's putting on, I feel like, bigger fights now. Before, they used to just have all their prospects dumped onto one card, but now if you look at the main events they're doing, they obviously did Mbili versus Zaleski. That was a big event. But then even just their casino shows in Montreal, they've got Iglesias versus Shishkin. Now Spencer versus Mayer. I love this fight. I really, really do. I think Michaela Mayer probably beats her. It's interesting she's moving up in weight, even more going up in weight. I would have liked her to stay and fight Lauren Price, though. I really would have. I feel like Lauren Price, Michaela Mayer is one of the best fights you can make in women's boxing right now. And it sucks. And it's still possible to make, but it looks like Mayer is now moving up to 154 instead, which, say what you will, but I would have really liked to see her fight price. On that card as well, you're going to have Wilkins Matthew taking on Shaquille Finn, so a bit of a step up in competition there for Matthew, but hey man, that's an interesting fight to me. Uh, Wilkins Matthew, I do think is a really, really solid prospect, so I think he probably wins that fight, but I'm looking forward to it. Most Valuable Prospects also announced their next event. It's going to be September 27th in Montreal. This is Prospects 15 Championship Edition. So you've got main event is going to be Sol Kudos versus Kim Clavel for the IBF Minimum Weight Championship. Obviously, MVP just signed Kim Clavel this week, and then they immediately announced a card, another Canadian card. They did one other one this year. That's obviously for the IBF belt. So yeah, hey, I'm cool with that. They've also got Amanda Gaye on this card. She is currently the IBO bantamweight champion. So we don't have an opponent for her yet, but I bet she's defending that. Juana Walton's coming back finally. Tam the Bolt is returning on this card. Naomi Valle is making her MVP debut. And then you've also got some other local Montreal prospects on the show. It's a really, really good prospects event, in my opinion. I'm excited for it. I like that they're going to have another event so soon. I was thinking, yeah, they'll definitely have another card before Tank versus David or Tank versus Jake Paul, and they're going to have one next month. So I'm really excited for that. Hopefully they can get another show in, like a fight night too, in October maybe. But we'll see, because I really liked their fight night the other weekend. So hopefully they have another one coming up soon. It was also announced Niklaus Flaz is going to be taking on Peter Dobson, also on September 27th. In Florida on ProBox TV. This is a really interesting fight. I like Flaz a lot, so it's cool they're stepping him up. And they've got some good fighters on it. Najee Lopez is coming back to take on Calvin Henderson. Darrell Valsaint against Isaias Lucero. And then, who actually I thought, he sounds a lot like the other Lucero we were talking about earlier, Isaac Lucero. But anyways, and then you've got Emiliano Moreno against Raul Garcia. So again, four of their top fighters, guys going to be fighting in 10-round fights. This is another really, really good Pro Box show. They're doing one, maybe two shows a month in bigger arenas with better fights and a lot of top fighters on it. And hey, I really, really like this format they're going for, and they're making waves. They're doing really good stuff. Now, what's interesting to me, well, you've also got they're matching up some good fighters on that card. They've got like a lot of like undefeated versus undefeated fights for their prospects, and some, even just like not even undefeated, but just really, really good prospects fighting each other, and I like that. Also interesting, Juanma Lopez is fighting on that card. Yeah, again, top ranked guy here, prospect getting pushed onto another show. It just sucks. It sucks, but hey, at least we're still going to get to see him fight because he's a really good prospect. But what's interesting to me, ProBox TV is ending support for their app. I got a notification the other day. So they're going to be doing solely on YouTube. This is the opposite of what I thought was going to happen. I was expecting with ProBox TV, kind of moving up, doing bigger events, that they were going to move over to the app solely, make it a subscription. Now they're only on YouTube. Obviously, nobody really watches the fight on the app because it's not great. But if people watch the fights on YouTube, so I understand that aspect of it. But in terms of the making money, I would think you'd want to put it behind a paywall on your own app and not put it on YouTube completely for free. But hey, I'm not going to complain. I'm going to watch the fights on YouTube, sure. I just don't see how they're profiting. But who knows? It was also announced there is a very, very good card coming up in Manila in the Philippines. Obviously, Melvin Jerusalem is going to be defending his world title there. I'm trying to pull up the first name of the guy. I have it written down as Kus. Yeah, sorry. It's Sia Kula. Kus. Yeah, I definitely wanted to make sure I got that one right. But yeah, I mean, hey, I feel like I've seen Kus in the rankings a lot. So we'll see. This could be a good fight. But Melvin Jerusalem is a pretty solid fighter at 105 pounds, and this is going to be the 50th anniversary of the Thrilla in Manila. So, big fight. Also on that card, you're going to have Mark Magsayo versus Michael Magnesi for the WBC Super Featherweight title eliminator to fight the winner of Foster Fulton, I guess. I'm a little bit interested because I thought that it was going to be Magsayo versus Rocky Hernandez. I guess Rocky Hernandez decided not to go through with that, and now it's Michael Magnesi, but that's two good world-level fights on that card. You've also got Nico Ali Walsh, Marlon Tapales, John Minduro, so a lot of interesting contenders and prospects on this card, and yeah, I mean, I'm I'm excited for that. I'm gonna try and watch it if it's possible. The BKFC, dude, their card they've got coming up for Italy. They added some good fights. You've got um, Ben Bonner versus Franco Tenaglia for in a lightweight semifinal, whatever that means. I know Bonner's the interim champion, so maybe this means that they've got another semifinal, and then whoever wins, in this little four-man tournament wins the title. But I don't know what the other semifinal is. And then you've got Frank Sweeney versus Omar Trinidad Snake, which is another really interesting fight. That's not even a title fight. And obviously, you've got Chris Camozzi on top of the card defending his title. So this is a really good card they've got in Italy on I believe, also on October 25th. So that day is going to be really good. Brandon Glanton fighting Marcus Brown now. Rocky Fielding apparently unavailable. I don't know if he got injured or whatever, but he's no longer fighting. That was the big buzz with this card. Like, oh, wow, Rocky Fielding's coming back after 3 years. And nobody really thought he was going to win that fight because Brandon Glanton's still a really solid cruiserweight. But Marcus Brown is an okay replacement. I think Glanton still wins this fight. And it's lost a little bit of that intrigue factor with Fielding now out of the picture, but I'll still probably watch it. That's obviously October 1st in Nigeria. PFL have re-signed Vadim Nemkov. This is good for them. They needed a big signing. They needed, to hold on to some of their bigger name fighters, and they need definitely more heavyweight action. They don't have a lot of top heavyweights right now, so good to see that they're bringing him back on, and hopefully they get him into a good fight. Maybe you just have him fight Oleg Popov. If Francis Ngannou's never going to fight again, just do that. I don't know. Alif Nur Turhan wins the WBA interim super featherweight title by another big stoppage. I saw it in the 6th round against she was in Paris against a French contender and, knocked her out. And she's got really big power. Obviously, she's now mandatory to fight Alicia Baumgardner for her undisputed titles at 130. I love that fight. Why not throw her with Baumgardner, see how she does? I mean, Baumgartner's not looked great in her last few fights, so putting, a big puncher in there with her, who knows what could happen. So I like it a lot. Konstantin Ursu versus Ryan Amos has been announced for November 30th. Your call for the Commonwealth welterweight title. I'm not really too familiar with Amos, but hey, Konstantin Ursu is probably the best fighter on top tier. So hopefully they can get him a good fight soon. I'd love to see him fight Conor Walker. That'd be a good fight. But yeah, good to see he's coming back because he was meant to fight in May and then he got injured. That was a quick turnaround, but good to see he's going to get another fight in this year. Umar Zambekov versus Artem Brusov has been announced for October 3rd. They're adding some other guys on that card. Kane Sandoval, Daniel Barrera, Roxy Verduzco. Should be a fun show. I like Umar Zambekov. He's good, and they're stepping him up to 10 rounds and getting him in the main event here. So, they're putting their stock behind him. So, hopefully it's good. And then Ike Ibiabuchi, he came back at 50-something, and he actually won by stoppage. He's in his early 50s, but what's funny to me is that he wins this and then calls out Usyk, which is just funny. He did look kind of in shape, but yeah, dude, you're not Mike Tyson. You don't have to come back. I unfortunately, Mike Tyson comes back, and now all these older fighters want to come back too, and it's just guys, no. So it's just funny that he calls out Usyk. I just wanted to mention that. And then lastly, this is just something interesting. Last night, Dirty Boxing Championship had their 3rd event. Now, I didn't watch it, but I kind of wish I did. And I'm starting to realize, dude, this is Mike Perry's promotion, and it is doing really, really well. I looked on there at one point. They had 30,000 people watching it on YouTube. The production looks great. They've got Jairus and Rosenstruck and Brian Battle on the card, both of whom who got first round knockouts. But they both look the fights just look really good. I like the format. I'll probably watch their next show, but I'm very impressed by this new show being put on by Mike Perry and how good it looks. And I'm starting to think that this could become a competitor with BKFC and stuff like that. This could be the 4th commentary. I know it's early, but they're starting to do some really good stuff, and I'm just really impressed by what they're doing. And who knows, man? Right now, all the shows are only on YouTube. We'll see if they get approached by DAZN or someone like that. But yeah, I mean the fights look good, and it's a really interesting promotion that's coming up fast, and it's a new sport. So yeah, I'm excited for it. And it was popping off last night. So it's something definitely to watch in the combat sports world to just keep an eye on and see how it goes. But this could become a real player in the promotional and sports game. But that's all I've got for today. Thank y'all so much for listening. Enjoy the fights. I'll probably do another episode Monday and break down this card. whatever happens, whatever chaos ensues. Misfits is so much fun. I don't care. It's a tremendous entertainment product, and I can't wait for today. It's gonna be a really fun fight. So thank y'all so much for listening. Have a good rest of your day. Enjoy the fights, and peace out.